Hello, welcome back to the Winners. We're continuing on. Now, if you haven't played this game before, do not watch this video. This video will destroy everything about the Winners. This is no longer a blind run, but we're going through all the secrets, and this time about the cherry blossom area, which I like to name the schooling area, and I'll explain why I like to name that. But before we do that, I did miss a couple things last video which I'd like to just quickly go back and recap. So one thing I missed was this movie room. I forgot about it. That's the code there if you're after the code. And if you notice that tree, well, it's not, it's a cloud tree. Again, there's a lot of symbolism with trees, as you'll see in this video, and that symbolism is always about growth, but growth and connection to a higher existence, to a need, a meaning. Again, trees being that symbol, and this is the movie. We will comment about that movie in a later video, but we'll also reflect about why that video was placed in this section. Okay, so basically what I missed was I forgot one exploding puzzle. So again, you'll see that tree is just a mundane twig when looking down there, but from a different perspective it's completely different. So if we go back here, dum me. There are a lot of exploding puzzles along the beach there, but we'll do them another day. But if you line this up here, I forgot about this one. I got to get on the edge there, and you follow that round, and you thank JB in the sky for flower beds, and that will explode and go to the down obelisk. So just recapping, and we need to recap because this area here runs directly into the schooling area. And now I said that this area here was kind of like a twofold symbolism. In one way it symbolized, you know, growing up, being protected in a broken family house sort of situation. But when we looked up from this one here, we learned that it was also referring to this house is our body, and that our body of our consciousness, our intelligence, it houses it, and this house breaks down over time, as we can see here. And even though it's got many beautiful things to look at to some degree, it's probably what my body looks like at the moment. That according to Buddhist beliefs, according to the Dhammapada, which I refer to as a Muppet, it's all about being at peace. And the more you're at peace, the more you're able to attain true peace with everything and stop all sense of craving, then you begin to reach a higher plateau, what they call enlightenment, and then you move on in your existence to what they believe from a reincarnation state to a high existence where you become a Buddha yourself, or actually you cease to exist anymore, I think. Now, and also we talked about Albert Einstein, who considered himself part of a true searcher, and that's an interesting thing. You know, he likened it, even in the scientific community, that not everyone was a true searcher, even amongst the various fields, from mathematics to archaeology to whatever. They weren't all true searchers. They were searchers for prestige or for other things, but they weren't true searchers. And he considered himself a true searcher, though at that particular time there were he had notions in mind which weren't coming true. but he still considered himself part of a true searcher. And that's the same with religion. It's understandable, because even in religion, even if you're in the right religion, there would be people in that religion that would be seekers of prestige, seekers of, you know, just community, seekers of companionship. They're not actually true searchers in themselves. So, but then again, who am I to say who's a true searcher or not? And I think that is what is needed to be used in all forms. Whether, and I say that because I met someone the other day who said, well, I believe what a scientist tells me because he's smarter than I, therefore he must be true. But that's that's probably not the best idea to have in mind, because, you know, as Albert Einstein said, the true searchers are very, very few. A lot of them have ulterior agendas, and even just the need for government grants. It's a huge, huge money. Unfortunately, is a huge swayer in the presenting of facts and what we're told. And here we have a guy who said, well, to him there was two tables. There was the cognitive table, and then there was the periodic table, the actual atomic table, where, and he said that those that really just look at science, unfortunately they won't ever see, maybe they won't ever connect to a higher source. And to him, a scientific man would never really go through, make that connection with a god or an intelligent designer. And so we have a realist over here, Albert Einstein, and we have this guy who's saying, you know, unfortunately, if someone's just looking at science and not looking at the broader picture, he won't make a further connection. And this is Arthur Addington, or whatever his name is, Addington. Okay, so with all those three things in mind, if we come over to here, to the cherry blossoms, you'll start to see how it really just runs into one big story. So I'm going to point out a few things here, okay? First, what we're going to do is we're going to play this because this really will put everything into perspective. So listen to this again, and then we'll talk about it.
The physicist Wolfgang Pauli once spoke of two limiting conceptions, both of which have been extraordinarily fruitful in the history of human thought, although no genuine reality corresponds to them. At one extreme is the idea of an objective world, pursuing its regular course in space and time independently of any kind of observing subject. This has been the guiding image of modern science. At the other extreme is the idea of a subject, mystically experiencing the unity of the world and no longer confronted by an object or by any objective world. This has been the guiding image of Asian mysticism. Our thinking moves somewhere in the middle, between these two limiting conceptions. We should maintain the tension resulting from these two opposites.
Okay, so
Werner Heisenberg, 1974.
Werner Heisenberg. So here we had, so Arthur Addington was saying that it's very difficult for a scientific man to make that connection. Here we have a scientific man who's actually a quantum mechanic, who has made that connection. And he's saying that basically science doesn't need to be separated as much as it is from mysticism, from a connection to this, to a force. So you have, on the other hand, Albert Einstein, who completely does not agree with this guy whatsoever. He's a realist. He's in a different kind of thought altogether. He connects everything to a scientific nature. And this guy says we don't really need to, we need to find the middle line between black and white. There doesn't have to be a complete difference between this. So to him, the cognitive factor and how it interprets is just as important as the scientific world that runs independently of our cognitive thinking. So we have these two completely different lines, and he's saying that we need to search the middle path in order to reach that we can blend science and mysticism together. A quantum mystic. So instead of a quantum mechanic, maybe a quantum mystic. And he was looking into yoga, samadhi, one of those Muppet things, samadhi, ba 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 ba, dun dun dun. So he was looking into this kind of mystic side of things. Now, the reason why this is interesting, now you'll notice one thing here, that all the trees are kind of separated in their own little school of thought sort of thing. And what you'll notice very interesting about this tree isn't a normal looking tree. I mean, look at it. Does that look normal to you? It doesn't. And when you come around here, I don't know about you, but I start to see three people and a dog doing some sort of human pyramid trying to, I don't know, reach a football or something. I don't know. And you're thinking, look, you're looking too much into things. Last time you saw a mechanical vagina, now you're seeing three humans and a dog reaching for a football. Now, stick with me on this, okay? Stick with me. So, when you look at this isn't just a coincidence. And the reason why I say that is because start to look at this. Now, you might think, okay, I start to see what you're saying here, but it could be just a computer template that you were using. Okay, granted. But now start looking at the other trees. Do you see how they're just slightly that little bit different? But again, you can normally see like a human form in them. Nearly an animalistic form. It's a bizarre sort of connection. Now, also, if you go see this thing here, this I don't know what it is, this farming utensil. So if I went to do that, I can't touch it because it's not all yellow. But if I come back here and I say I connect now to JB, maybe a bit further, I connect to JB in the sky presenting us farming utensils. And that's gone to the town obelisk. Okay, so here we go into the cherry blossom area. Now, cherry blossoms are a symbol in Japan mysticism for our mortality, because it's temporarily beautiful. So it's really transient mortality. And if you didn't know this, Kamkiaze pilots used to draw like cherry blossom trees on the planes before, and half of them even brought like a cherry blossom branch with them as that symbol of that transient mortality. So as we go through the school of thought, we start to accept our transient mortality, which makes us look deeper into things. But sometimes there is this blending of science, these gravitational laws, this science, again blending this science with mysticism. So here you have your various puzzles that you will actually have to go through. And what I love about this part here, now I'll just explain this puzzle for you because there's something funny about this. So the way you solve this, you'll notice that this branch here, this branch here is broken off, and evidently that's this side of the tree. So this is on that side. Do you understand? So we're looking at tree branches that are broken off. And here we've got the same thing. We have a tree branch. Is it this one? Yep. This tree branch is broken off and it's not on there. So that's the one that should have the apple, basically. Because these ones, even though they're broken, they're actually already part of the puzzle. So this is the extra one that should be there but isn't there, and that's how you solve that. And the reason why that's actually quite funny, and we'll I only just realised this, you might not have realised this playing this, that when you come into this section here, here's that branch and that apple. So somebody invented the puzzle, was like, I'm hungry, and cut the branch off and ate the apple. I thought that was pretty funny. So there's a little bit of a Easter egg you might not have realised. I thought that was pretty funny. Now, you also have these Japanese bonsais here. And again, Japanese bonsai is looking at the simplicity, simplifying things, looking at harmony, the harmony between balance and nature, and also the wisdom of age, and again, just the simplicity side of things, and growth. And here, again, we have some very interesting designs with the cardiovascular system, and how it reminds that connection with nature, in the fact that it's similar to a root system. Or here we have the neural networks and the spine, again looking at a root system and the similarities of it, and that we're really one with this force of nature. And even though we interpret it differently, we're still one with that force, and maybe and it's becoming oneness with that. That's often involved in the samadhi yoga sort of side of things, looking at that belief system. But it does more than that also, because I forgot his name now. Verhona what he was saying is that science doesn't need to be as separated from mysticism or from the cognitive side as what it claims. That there might be a force there that we can't see or detect that is controlling things, and science can still be correct. And even nowadays you'll find a lot of scientists are saying, well, it doesn't need to be separated. We can still accept intelligent design as being the overall side of those things. Take for instance the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio, and how much you'll see that pattern in a pine cone, in a pineapple, in a seashell, in a sunflower, as much as you will see that same Fibonacci sequence, that same golden ratio in a spiral galaxy. And to some people that shows that there was an intelligent design and an overall influence, more than just a random chance, a random non-intelligent set of chances. And for them, science fails to make that connection, a connection that they themselves cognitively see. So here, this is where we'll finish. We'll finish off on that question. Does science really need to be independent today from the idea of an intelligent design? Now, granted, science has proven again that we're not living in a young earth, but there are many religions that do not believe in a young earth. There are many Christian religions that do not believe in a young earth, but scientists seem to be constantly at loggerheads with these young earth creationists, that they blatantly refuse that there might be an intelligent design behind everything. And again, that's because they're a realist. They're only focusing on what they see at an atomic level, where mysticism or other religions are saying, look beyond that. Look at the whole harmony of everything. like a good cappuccino. What is involved for your body, even at an atomic level, to enjoy a good cappuccino? And that's not just from a cognitive side, from the realist side, and that harmony that comes in play here. It's almost magical. You don't find a chimpanzee just evolving and thinking, you know what, I think experimenting with different types of water to create a better water system for themselves. You don't have that. It's almost like there was a design and intelligence behind it, because not only are we placed in a beautiful part in the universe, but we have the ability mentally to study these things and to appreciate them and to be awe-inspired by them. And that is what makes life truly magical. So I'm going to finish it there. Well, join me next time as we continue on with this side of things, and we're going to look at the artistic side of things. Until then, bye for now.